Okay. So yeah, I figured since PS5 was on the horizon, or PS5 Pro got announced, and that was kind of a nightmare. We're super into that, crazy about the price tag. Dude, it'd be kind of fun to talk about Switch 2. Kind of worried that they're going to announce it like probably right after Echoes of Wisdom comes out. So I kind of wanted to just get all my ideas out there before they're all invalidated by whatever nonsense Nintendo actually ends up making. Kind of fun to check it out, or to just talk about it and think about it before it's gone forever. The opportunity is gone for another 7 years or whatever. And I mean, realistically, I think anybody expects it to be all that different, but Nintendo. Switch. It's Nintendo, so it's fun to speculate about nonsense they're cooking up. Watch them just be like, yeah, it's not even portable. I hope not, because how happy every other console that isn't portable is doing, but it's Nintendo. They could do whatever they want. I would eat it up. I like the silly Wakama. Success. I'm just gonna draw two. Oh. Yeah, this is great. Drawing practice. Oh, I looked away for a second. That's better. Yeah, so there's two sets of wish lists I have. One that's very realistic, not surprising at all, hopefully. And I have a set that I am personally hoping for or excited about the possibility of. I want to start with the realistic list, just because fun. No fun is better than fun. I'm just starting because it's no fun, and I think it's going to be pretty boring to talk about realistic versus what I want. But to start with that realistic list, the first kind of big asterisk, I think, is that don't forget this Switch is going to be the exact same layout. There's no reality where Nintendo like changes like button scheme or whatever. They've kind of been sticking to what they've had since the Wii U almost. I can't see them changing it again, especially if this console is going to have a big focus on backwards compatibility. I think everything on the Switch will probably be playable on vice versa. So I don't see why this would be any kind of exception to that. Yeah, next is... Yeah, so like A, B, X, and Y buttons are always going to be the same. Maybe they'll be capitalized. Wait, are they capitalized? Oh, okay. Maybe they'll be lowercase this time instead of uppercase. But I think, like, as far as where everything's located on the controller, you know, left stick, right stick, down below, whatever nonsense, it's going to be the exact same. Maybe a D-pad. Actually, I do expect a D-pad instead of Joy-Cons. Ooh, Daruk's theme. The music I have going is it's just a fun little... A lot of 2017 Switch releases, just because it's time to get a little bit more nostalgic for that. I think my mic's peaking. It's probably fine. But it's just... I think it's been a while since all of these games. 2017 is 7 years ago. I thought it'd be fun to listen back to some of these old soundtracks. I was gonna add more, but I can't bother listening to the Mario and Rabbids soundtrack again. And Xenoblade, I have too many to choose from, so I'm still working. You'll probably hear the soundtrack, this playlist again in the future. Yeah, same D-pad layout. I can't imagine it changing in any way. So the first real big thing I think would happen is it'd have a bigger frame. I think Nintendo's going to be a little bit more careful future-proofing this system. It felt like the Switch was kind of a like panic response button for the Wii U's nonsense and like how it failed. So I think a lot of the technological advancement that's in the Switch 2 is going to be a lot more like. I think when the Steam Deck came out, I think the Steam Deck was a lot more in line with what would you expect from like a mid-range PC. So this bigger frame will house like, you know, the better processing chip, better whatever, and I think it'll just feel a lot more full in the hand because I think the Switch actually feels kind of weird in people's hands. So yeah, there's no way it's not going to be like a little bit thicker, I think, to just house whatever their graphics card is. I think it will be probably closer to Xbox One PS4 power. I think probably more powerful. That might be a crazy guess, because I guess Nintendo really likes to do their like optimization for the hardware. I mean, all Switch games look pretty much fantastic in my opinion, with like exceptions of frame rate, but I don't personally care about frame rate. But yeah, I think it's really important that they will be housing the better tech, and they're going to be very careful about what they choose to include for the Switch successor, because I doubt they want to release like a Pro Super Switch or whatever down the line, especially considering what PlayStation just announced and how that went over with their fan base. So yeah, bigger frame, house better chips, better graphics, whatever. Right, better graphics. Not that it'll come out at all, but yeah, better graphics, whatever. I think the touchscreen is going to stay. I was thinking about this, debating if the touchscreen was going to stay, and then I remembered backwards compatibility is going to be everything. There's no way they're going to get rid of like a feature that already exists on the Nintendo Switch, like presently, except for maybe the IR camera. But I guess that's on a Joy-Con, which I'll get to in a little bit. But the touchscreen will stay. It'll still be capacitive, whatever. I debated it just because I think that does like kind of inflate the cost of the system one way or another. I don't know anything about production costs, but I imagine a capacitive touchscreen versus the resistive that the Wii U and 3DS had, that might have been a big reason why the Switch wasn't, or for why those consoles were a lot more priced effectively. Switch kind of still $300. I don't think it's gone through any price changes here in the US. I'm pretty sure it has elsewhere, but it is still $300 here, so I do expect it to be touchscreen capacitive. Yeah, let's talk about controllers. So no more Joy-Cons. That's the big thing. I think the effect of the control, like the Joy-Con drift, right? The Joy-Con whatever, all of this Joy-Con nonsense that was kind of happening. I think that needed a revision. A lot of people think that the Joy-Cons are too small and that they're not very comfortable. Not a lot of people like the Joy-Cons. I love them just because they have so much stupid tech crammed into them, and I think they're fun. You know, the portability aspect, sliding them off and on. I don't think Nintendo's going to lean that as hard here. So I think Joy-Cons are going to be gone. They're going to be called like Pro-Cons or something. And it's just going to be, they're effectively the same as Joy-Cons. They're going to have grips, because like that's the big thing that people buy for their Switches now, is the stupid grips that you like attach to your Joy-Cons. And then I also think we're going to get pressure analog triggers again. The pressure triggers. Probably not to the degree of the PS5. Just because I think Nintendo looks at that and is like, oh man, I want to play with that, but I doubt they actually want it. Or they I don't think they would want to spend the production cost on those plus the portable console. But I do think we're gonna have pressure triggers back because Nintendo's starting to look at their backlog. They're looking at GameCube games specifically, and I would not be surprised if they're like, "Oh, we want to port that. Oh, but it has pressure triggers. Okay, we won't do that." And I think they're gonna change that, so get those pressure triggers back. Kind of still surprised that they weren't ever present on the Switch in any way, other than just like compatibility and keeping the Switch kind of the same for everyone as long as you have a pair of Joy-Cons. So yeah, pressure triggers, analog. Again, these are still detachable. I think Nintendo really likes the sit down and pass and play. I loved it in high school. I remember when I was in high school, I would bring my Switch all the time. That was early Switch era, so like, but I loved to take it out and like I'd be with my friends in the hallway and be like, "Oh, let's play Smash," whatever. Pass the Switch controller, and you play Smash. That feature cannot be understated, and it kind of sells the console itself. I'd be very surprised if they got rid of that kind of ease of use features to make that more comfortable. I can't see them keeping the like I don't know, the way they're gonna build these is very interesting to me. Anyways, the dock. Talk about the dock real quick. Probably Ethernet cable is gonna be built in, maybe. Actually, I lied. Oh, are we drawing on the background? No! No, we are. Means I have to check this. Control A. Control C. No, it's not. Oh, I messed up. No! No! Oh, I guess I'll go back through it again. Oh, that sucks. Why don't I have a layer by default? I think it changed one day, and I don't know why. It's probably because I was messing with it. Shit. Alright, well. Back to work. It's not what I want. Switch to. Oh, I'm getting so good at drawing. Doing it again. Got. There we go. Now we're layered up. Swith. I don't know why I keep swithing. Switch to perfect, whatever. Yeah, so realistic hopes. Yep, same layout. Just no additional buttons is the big thing. I don't see them adding anything crazy or new, or removing anything for that matter. Actually, the capture button is interesting to just talk about, just because of the changes to social media in recent years, how difficult it is to get people to like use Twitter or whatever, right? I'd be curious what. I think it'll stay. I don't know how deep integration would go. Maybe Nintendo would start their own social network. I think that'd be kind of smart. They're willing to moderate it, unlike Miiverse. I love Miiverse, and I would kill for an unmoderated Miiverse, but maybe not. Maybe in 2014 that was okay. I don't know about 2024. Yeah, bigger frame, just to house more electronics. Yeah, and then, yep, touchscreen stays. Which means, more specifically, with regards to the touchscreen, again, I think like anything Switch 1 has, Switch 2 will have. I cannot imagine Nintendo not investing into the backwards compatibility stuff. It'd baffle me if they were like, yeah, we don't. I'm a little worried about physical media, and having a cartridge reader, but we'll see. I think we will stick with cartridges. Actually, I think it seems like they've already kind of been advancing the cartridge kind of reading. Maybe it'll have like a little notch in it, like the 3DS did versus the DS games. But I can't imagine them getting rid of cartridges or like physical media. Nintendo likes to sell that stuff. I say this all objectively, like I know. They could maybe hate it. Maybe it'll be all digital. I doubt they'll make an all digital version. It's part of the novelty of a lot of consoles that I think a lot of like console makers are forgetting is used games, trading games. I think Nintendo got it and kind of locked it down with the Switch. Is that gaming is a social experience more than like to talk about like, oh, I can lend you this game, or playing with somebody else in high school, like I was talking about earlier, where somebody's gonna just enjoy that time. It's really important. I really do think that. I think after the reaction to the PS5 Pro, again, like we talked about, it's very obvious that consumers care more about this stuff than companies think. Again, controllers. I think we'll have Pro-Con instead of Joy-Con. I do believe that rumor about like how Nintendo was making the Joy-Con charger to replace, to kind of like give people an auxiliary means of keeping Joy-Con around, just for their Switch 2. I'd be curious if they keep producing them. Like Nintendo made Wii controllers, right, for pretty much forever. The Pro-Con should probably be able to do everything the Joy-Con can do. They're just going to be like a better form factor more than anything, and built for this console specifically. So Joy-Con will still work, and it'll be the exact same experience, but the Pro-Con is going to feel miles better than the Joy-Con, hopefully. If I'll write reduced drift and bigger buttons are the two things. I don't know if people got like Wii Thumb, or I guess it's not Wii Thumb, but like Switch Thumb from holding down the A button when you played too much Mario Kart or whatever. That was a big thing for me when I took my Switch with me on road trips. I'd play Mario Kart back when the Switch was brand new. That's all you had, right? You had Mario Kart, Zelda. And you'd hold the A button for so long that you'd get these stupid like imprints of the circles because the buttons are just so rigid and hard. So rigid and hard. Whatever. It's just kind of weird to me that the Joy-Cons never got a revision already during the Switch's actual lifestyle. So there's no way they're keeping Joy-Cons around. I think we're going to get Pro-Cons better to hold, bigger, and pretty much the exact same as Joy-Cons. Actually, I'm going to say maybe no IR camera. I don't really know how that got on the Switch. I'd be curious if like Labo is part of that proposition. I love it in the weirdo games like WarioWare and stuff. I don't really expect the IR camera to stay, honestly. Nobody ever used it, I think. Seriously. What games used it, but And it's probably really novel whenever games do use it, but compared to anything else now, they'll keep the Amiibo reader. So they still like to say Amiibo readers a lot. Okay, controllers and the dock is the same. Dock will definitely stay the same. Maybe like just bigger for the console, but structurally it'll probably feature a new design, just like to distinguish it. But it'll have the exact same functionality. I doubt they'll. I don't know what you even add to the dock, like more USB ports. It's already got like what, 5, 4? That might be a total oversell. There's like 2 on the side, and then there's 1 in the back. 3. There's 3 ports or whatever. But yeah, the dock will stay the same, bigger for console, look different, but same function. It's definitely going to be, you know, the same plug-and-play experience. I wonder if the Pro-Con could maybe attach to each other instead of needing a grip. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. That seems like something they probably already experimented with the Joy-Con before they made it. But yeah, I think that about covers my realistic expectations. I'd be surprised if literally any of these don't come true. The big one for me is the Joy-Cons. If they get rid of Joy-Cons, or if they keep Joy-Cons rather, I don't know why they would ever do that. Everybody hates the Joy-Cons. I mean, I've got tiny hands, so I've been blessed with like Joy-Con compatibility. Anybody who uses the Joy-Cons, like, who isn't like miniature, will be fine. They like the Joy-Cons. Or they don't like the Joy-Cons. So Pro-Cons are definitely necessary. So now let's just sketch out like the undocked version here. Like, it'll still be a tablet. There's no way it's not a tablet. I think we'll get the big bezel. Yeah, no OLED. That's the other thing. No OLED. That will definitely be saved for premium option. Or like a Pro or whatever, like down the line. It just inflates cost. That's the only reason. I think people will. They're gonna want this thing in people's hands before they start making the weirdo stuff. So like, oh, and then price point $400. I think this thing's gonna be sold for 400, probably to 500. More leaning towards 400 would be that sweet spot in my mind. I don't think it's gonna be 300 again. They still have Switches on the market. They haven't decreased them in any way. They haven't shied away from like not making them. It seems like. So I think $400, if I had to guess, will be that like starter price. Maybe $450. But yeah, let me grab this box I drew. Move that over. So yeah, I think, what would that look like? I think basically just like a Pro controller, like split in two. Wow, they're really just called Pro controllers, huh? How did Nintendo do that? How did Nintendo get away with that? Oh, yeah, D-pad. D-pad on these controllers. It's not worth the sacrifice to not have a D-pad for that replayability or whatever. I think everybody wanted the D-pad. They never did it. Probably for that reason, for the shareability reason. Just because all the games are built around that. But you have a new console, you can build games around different things. I think we're gonna have more of a D-pad. I think we're gonna have a D-pad on these Pro Cons this time. Look, there it is. I gotta remember my keybinds. Key? Yeah, so probably literally what I expect is like literally. Is for them to just attach the stupid Pro Controller straight to the console itself. Oh my god, am I really gonna focus on the D-pad? Saying. I mean, people love the Pro Controller. It's so weird because I like even my friends who never use their Switches, like kind of rot. Always been partial to buying a Pro Controller. They don't like play that much just for the sake of comfort, because those Joy-Cons can definitely get grating. Yeah, you know, it's the home button. Whatever. This is not my best work. I didn't really expect it to be, but I think it'd be kind of fun. Oh, practice. Me the lasso tool. This one. I'll move that here. Ooh. This song's a little bit louder than the other ones. Yep, I think we're gonna get that, or bring that big old bezel back. Everybody's gonna love the bezel. What size is the Switch's screen right now? The 7-inch? Or is the OLED a 7-inch? Yeah, OLED is 7-inch. Normal is 6.2-inch. This will probably be 7-inch at the start. It's because of... Just because, again, the bigger frame. I think it's going to be way bigger. Yeah, and as for the dock design, I gotta figure out how are they going to fit this into a dock. Alright. Maybe they don't even, like, expect you to leave the controllers on at this point. That's how you break it, though, is trying to put it, like, the dock into the controllers. What if the device docks into the Pro Controller? And I don't really know how that would work, because you can't share them. And I think the sharing is actually pretty. Maybe you could lay upside down into the console? I don't see why that wouldn't work, like... I do think the dock is gonna be relatively... Yeah, what if you, like... So stupid. and call it the Super Switch, because why not? Yeah, and then people... I was like, oh, there you go, Nintendo. Now you can market it as a bunny. Yeah, you could, like, make little, like... Yeah, you can totally market it as a bunny, because then you've got the stupid, like, other people. But yeah, that's about my realistic expectations. I'd be very surprised if the Switch doesn't end up looking somewhat like what I've outlined here. Give me what? Yeah, but that again, that about wraps up my Switch 2 expectations. I'm surprised if none of those came true. So now, let's talk about the actual fun part, which is the made-up Switch that will never ever happen, but would be awesome if it did. And my wish list is, like, based on, like, less what I'd expect and more of what I'd expect if Nintendo tried to surprise us. So if Nintendo was trying to surprise us with some crazy nonsense, this is what crazy nonsense I think would be cool enough for Nintendo to be like, yeah, we want to invest in that. And, you know, people would want it, I think. Well, maybe not. We'll get there. So, let's go, I thought it'd be fun to really spitball these. So some of these, I don't see happening at all. But I think would be awesome and super cool. So, first of all, the wish list, let's start with the stuff that kind of stays the same. Is the bigger frame. I think it's going to stay the same. Still going to be on that bigger frame. I think we're still going to have the Pro-Con that I detailed earlier. It's going to be almost the exact same. Just those bigger Joy-Cons, better whatever. Same buttons. I still cannot even comprehend Nintendo deciding to add or subtract anything from those controllers. Everybody swears by the Pro controller. So the console will definitely be the Pro controller, no doubt. Yeah, but that's that's where things end. I think where we're gonna get funky is I think this will be a dual screen system, and that already becomes a nightmare if you even think about it for a second, because then it's like, oh, how will Nintendo like bring it forward and back? That you know, portability versus dock versus handheld. So here's how the dual screen's gonna work: is in portable mode, it attaches to a hinge. So it's like a DS, basically. And so this top screen or whatever will probably house like the actual console itself, So whatever the tech is that's behind it. I think the DSs work the other way, where the bottom screen doesn't. But... oh, gosh. But the way I want this to work, I think the top screen will actually house most of the components, the electronic components. I don't really know how that works with weight at all. It's kind of nonsense. It's just going to be so heavy. It's going to be so top heavy. The screen's probably going to hinge all wrong and stuff. But I think the top screen will work weight, and then the bottom screen will effectively be what the Switch is now. Or what I expect the Super Switch, or the Switch 2 to be. Which is just like a normal Switch, but with, you know, the better controller. This track's so good. Yeah, that bottom screen will be just the current Switch, but with better Joy-Con, and it'll be attached. So that's where your touchscreen is. Yeah, top screen is not touchscreen. There's no reason for it to be touchscreen. There was never any reason on the DS in the first place. And I know people are gonna get angry about this because the Wii U, one of its big issues was that nobody really knew what to do with the bottom screen. And I think that's really stupid. I don't know how that happened, like game dev wise, because they never had that issue on like the DS. You never played a DS game where the bottom screen was like just blank all the time. And that's why I don't understand the Switch 2, or the... Yes, I guess like from a multiplayer aspect, only one person can have that like tablet. But how many games are you playing multiplayer? Local multiplayer. I think local multiplayer is, unfortunately, this is something I want. I think it is true, is that local multiplayer is dying. It's very hard to get 4 people sitting in a room at once. Okay, the time works, social media, whatever. But if we're on a home console where everybody has their own bottom screen, and they don't build it like it's a little tyke toy, people will be way more keen to play with it, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna say the bottom screen will be the current Switch, will effectively be the current Switch. So how does docking work? The dock takes only the bottom screen. Or only the top screen, not the bottom screen. And you can play with the bottom screen like a gamepad. And maybe this is me being like evil or whatever. It might be, I don't know. Like, oh, this is never gonna happen. Years. Just trying to get some music going. Yeah, some people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that would never happen. This track's kind of loud. That's better. Yeah, bottom screen comes off like a gamepad. And this is, I'm not gonna lie, this is totally setting Nintendo up for failure. This is literally a Wii U, but you can take it with you anywhere you go. And I know that sounds insane, but again, I think the Wii U's failure did not owe itself to the console itself. It owed itself to poor marketing and weird Nintendo like software motives. If Nintendo had a console like the Wii U, and they sat down and created games for it, dedicating themselves the same way they dedicated the Switch to like reviving these old IP, using whatever nonsense to kind of get this through. I think it'd be pretty important to them. Yeah, I think it would be fine as long as they market it correctly. So, you know, you're not calling it the Wii U, and people are confused that this is like an addition. So, in order to do that, you have to be very careful. So, one of the big things that the Wii U failed for was that the actual console itself was never advertised. It'd almost always be advertised as just the gamepad. This thing has to be marketed as a dual screen console. It can't be marketed as like this wonky like controller and only the controller. This is so much more than the controller, and it doesn't even have to be marketed as the Switch 2. It probably won't be called a Switch anymore at this point. But I truly think that the idea of the Wii U could succeed very easily. Bottom screen, be damned. And even for like third parties, it's fine. Price point. Yeah, this is going to be maybe not a premium machine, but it's obviously not going to be cheap. I think this would be right at home with all the other boys at $500. So, and that would keep like the Switch in like that budget territory where you would buy a Switch if you just want a console that has like a ton of games. I imagine we're still going to see Switch games releasing like over the next 2 years at max. I think the last Switch game will probably come out. The last native Nintendo Switch game will probably come out like early 2027, late 2026 at most. So that'll be plenty of time for people to migrate over. And, you know, if people still want to play Switch games, they can buy their like $200, $300 Switch Pro Lite, whatever, OLED Lite. And then they can come on over to the greener pastures of the Super Switch. Let me draw this nonsense. Here's our magical hinge. Yeah, that rectangle. I know. I can't imagine like, you know, this top screen will probably have like speakers built into the back. So like, I don't know, how do you represent speakers like that? And I'll label it speakers in the back. You know, this is not a touchscreen. Again, no OLED. I'd be super surprised if we see anything have OLED in the near future. Just Nintendo does want this in the hands of people. It doesn't. Whoa, I've been drawing on the background again. Why do I keep doing that? Whatever. Instead. But yeah, OLED wise, oh, maybe speakers actually are going to be on the bottom screen. Speaking of not making mistakes. At the very least, I can change my layer now. So yeah, this is gonna be your top screen. I don't think it'll have speakers actually. I thought it would, but the more I think about it, no speakers, because if there are any speakers in it, then you can't use the speakers when it detaches, supposedly. This is the little screen. I like how I drew that. God, I am struggling to envision this. Let me pull up a 3DS. Let's see what a 3DS looks like. Yeah, so there we go. That's easier for me to think about now. Again, I think this will be the top screen. Both of the screens are going to be the same size. Interest of third-party compatibility. That's the tough thing about these consoles. Like the weird fun consoles in my mind are just nobody's going to want to make for them, because then you're like making like, you know, Starfield or sense, and then becomes like infinitely more difficult to like support whatever you're making to it, just because you either have this weird black screen that nobody's going to touch or use. And ultimately, that's why I don't think Nintendo would ever do this, is because, I mean, very obviously, third-party support, I think, was very key to Switch's success. It was always very exciting. Like, you know, Doom came out for the 50th time on the Switch. Get rid of that 3DS. It's given me the thinking I needed. This is a good track from Breath of the Wild. It plays in one of the cutscenes. Oh, X is on top. Y is to the left. A is to the right. And our right stick's down here. Same thing over here. I can draw it a little bit better. Left stick's up there. D-pad. Minus. Capture button. Yeah, so big thing is probably speakers on the bottom. Speakers on that bottom screen. These are sticks, not circle pads. Because my big worry going into whatever the Switch successor ends up being is that Nintendo could definitely do the thing where, you know, they get comfortable with their branding, which is the exact same thing that happened with the Wii or the NES or whatever else that they've gone like down and up and down and up and down and up. They get very comfortable with their branding, and then they kind of just rely on that being okay for the rest of the time. When realistically, like we have the Asus ROG, the Steam Deck, all of these different like portable PCs are coming out. Why would I get a Switch right now instead of a portable PC? And the answer ultimately is Nintendo's games. You can't play Smash on, well, you can't play Smash on Steam Deck or whatever. So I think Nintendo has to, you know, if they want to keep making these special experiences that you can only experience, I really do think that they have to use their gift, which is just this amazing third-party output ability to create these third-party games that are you just can't find anywhere else. But anyways, yeah, so this top Switch thing, this hinge probably literally comes out, like retracts, whatever Nintendo hardware magic they have to do. Plug into like It could be, it would probably lay down like horizontally. Yeah, like imagine like a hinge and it laying comfortably. This like dock thing. Wow, that's an. I don't draw on my free time enough. I do actually, but really not enough to make it good, which is a work in progress. Yeah, plug that into the console. That's our hinge or whatever. Console would probably be like. Actually, the bottom would probably be okay. I'd expect more. Some kind of burger type design. Probably more fun than that, but because I mean, realistically, Nintendo could have had the well. I'm just trying to think of how you would envision this. Because realistically, the top part like come off. There'd be like a little like bite as part of the hinge. Or like some kind of like attachment that works so the top screen can work. You have like, you know, sketch out the bottom screen. Yeah, so it would like attach via hinge. I'm trying to think of how would you put this into a dock? This thing has to go into a dock. And I don't know if Nintendo would want people like taking the hinge off and then physically placing the top screen into like a dock. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Like, what if like the dock was more like a NES kind of situation? Or it had like a slit? The dock to kind of just sit in, and then the screen can either like sit up or can like lay down against the wall. Yeah, so the hinge definitely just kind of slots back into the device. Like from the hinge, it'll probably just lay down. I'm so built for drawing. But yeah, it just lays down, and then like, I don't know, it's your stupid box. I don't think that looks great. Be a Nintendo designer would know better than me. Probably like put down some like lifters or something. Like, weird piece of like metal, like align it in. Whatever it takes. But that would go onto there, and you'd play with this separately. And like, I don't think that would ever happen in a million years. I mean, I just already proved that like it's kind of a nightmare of like engineering, but I think it'd be really fun. So, and weird, and I like it when Nintendo gets weird and does all these weird things. That's that about wraps up what I wanted to kind of draft up before this console is inevitably revealed in the next like they crush my hopes and dreams. But that's what I'd love for my Switch to look like, for my Super Switch. And I'd like for it to be at that price point too. Thank you. Do not go above $500. You go above 500, you're losing everybody because it's not gonna happen. So, that in mind, wait, listen to like a nice, soothing song to end our adventure here. Yeah, it's like arms. Here we go. But yeah, that wraps up my Switch ideas. Again, real Switch is gonna be incredibly boring and not all that exciting. I think Nintendo reveals this, and then people are like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we expected." You know, it happens. It sells a bajillion units, or it fails into the ground, and never see Nintendo make another console again. I don't think that ever happened, but maybe. What about but like cooler Switch, Super Switch? I'm just saying, they could cook here. I don't think they will, but they could. And that wraps it up. It's a short little stream. Hope you enjoyed my Switch rambling. Yeah, thanks guys.